All right, you're welcome back. To say that the ruling All Progressives Congress is a party in turmoil might just be putting things mildly. 114 days to the commencement of that election, that's the 2019 elections. The party is yet to recover from the earthquake rocking its camp after the conduct of their primaries nationwide.
That's right. The primaries left in their wake armies of discontented stalwarts in different parts of the country, from Ogun to Imo, Ondo and River State. It's confusion all over. In Kaduna, for instance, a critical but close ally of President Muhammadu Buhari, Shehu Sani, has resigned from the APC following a prolonged no-love-lust relationship with the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, that led to his loss of party ticket to return to the Senate, even though the national leadership of the party promised him the ticket.
Well, in Zamfara State, it's a different ball game, as INEC has disqualified the party from contesting the state governorship election for failure to meet the deadline for the conduct of primaries and emergence of party candidates.
Joining us now is a public affairs commentator, Mayokun Ilo. Thank you very much for finding time to come.
Thank you.
So the former chairman of the APC, Mayokun, was accused of not doing much to unite the party. And when Oshomole came in, he was widely celebrated as a potential unifying factor. That has been short-lived, given the huge number of protests that we've recorded aftermath the party's primary election. What, in your opinion, is responsible for this widespread divisive fallout of the APC crisis?
The remote cause is actually the nature of politics in Nigeria. Earlier this morning, to give me some perspectives, I was looking at experiences of PDP in 2014. And the experiences of APC in 2018 is not very different from what PDP had in 2014. As a fallout of their primaries, then you had some people who are now in APC who
for
were
the same reason
in PDP for the same reason. So that is the remote and the existential reason for whatever we are experiencing now. The issue of how Odige Oyegun handled the party, it's history now. If you say somebody is not doing well and you are coming in to replace him, then the onus is on you to prove to do better. 4 or 5 months in the saddle and we are having all these issues. To be fair to the national chairman, he met a house full of crisis. But now that everybody is on the same page, in terms of we have to do whatever we need to do to win the presidency again in 2019 and return some of our people to power, but they are not there for me yet.
Well, I wonder if you can really say that everybody is on the same page, even before the primaries, and then you had this, post-primaries crisis. Yes, I mean, just like you pointed out, Oshomole inherited a fractured party. Is it a case of, these aggrieved members not being patient enough to allow Oshomole do the job that they brought him on board to do, or that he's really guilty of some of these allegations? I mean, some have said he has introduced impunity into the party, that as far as they're concerned, the whole process within the APC right now is a cash and carry matter. These are very grave
maybe he has not done all that he could do, but he didn't introduce impunity. My own assessment of the party is one that is highly factionalized, even before the emergence of Oshomole as party chairman. There are groups within the party, each vying for supremacy. So each of the groups on his own is doing some things to undermine the other groups. And
so is it more of self-interest, political self-interest that is playing out?
Yeah. So they are putting the self-interest above and over the interest of the party, and not really knowing that whatever it is they are doing now has the implication of making them lose the presidency.
But some are saying that has been the norm. The fact that governors have been leaders of the party at the state level. But what the national headquarters of the party is doing now, according to Oshomole, is to make all stakeholders to fairly share it around. In Igbo, for instance, they're saying the governor wants his son-in-law to become governor. He wants to become senator.
They say?
At the same time. That's what they are saying. But then, how do you see the party survive fighting against the will of governors, given how important they have been in previous election year? That's exactly why APC is in power today. Some governors left the ruling party and joined.
Governors will always leave. And like I said at the inception, the issue with Nigeria is how we play politics. The governors have become demigods in their respective domains. Even Oshiomhole, our party chairman now of the APC, is someone who has been a two-term governor. There are things that these governors are doing that he really understands himself. If he were in their shoes, he would do the same. Once they come into power, the apparatus of office is there, they have access to all the treasuries, they are the ones who can dispense favors, then they forget that ultimately it should be about service. That becomes a problem.
They don't want to cut the umbilical cord.
They don't want to. So they, even when they are leaving office, they want to make sure that whoever is going in, you know, rightly or wrongly, it's somebody with whom they have interest.
Yeah, but they don't seem to learn any lessons from things that have happened in the past. Yes, you're a godfather. You put your candidate in place, whether as governor or as senator, only for, you know, after a while,
they fall out.
It becomes a no love lost situation. They fall out.
Yeah,
I mean, we're already hearing that between Oshiomhole and the state governor of Edo State, there are already cracks in their relationship.
That's more like a norm now.
It's a norm, but they continue to want to toe that line.
It's both here and there. I will put a portion of the blame with the governors, another portion with the national chairman, because what you need at this stage is engagement. The power is there on the part of the governors as much as they could amass. They have amassed it. Look for ways to cut it without unduly making the party to be at a disadvantage, because they have the powers to undermine the party interest. Call them in, let's talk about this. But
so
they are not
it's
really
not
doing
enough
that.
to just say that these people are just bad
No,
losers.
they made them bad. The problem with the country is, you know, we campaign in poetry, we govern in prose. When you're outside, you see the things that are wrong with the system, and the moment you get in, you now do worse.
I'm particularly concerned about the position of the national chairman. He had said severally that he took on the APC chairmanship to position or deepening the core values of democracy and all of that. And it was quoted recently to say, "This is my finest hour. 90% of party members are with me." Some say with a nationwide protest to remove him, perhaps he's simply living in denial.
You will also discover that he has talked less compared to when he emerged as the party chairman.
That's correct.
Sometimes people listen to advice. You know, you are talking too much. You are the one fanning the embers of discord within the party. So he allows Nabena
now we have heard more of
you know, to do most of the talking.
spokesman.
But at the end of the day, the nature is the nature.
Issa Onilu.
He's the one talking now, and himself is also talking a bit, for me, excessively.
Yeah, he did a rejoinder recently.
So, but at the end of the day, the governors too have to realize that they cannot have it their way all the time. You know, threatening the party, saying, okay, we are going to leave, we are going to do this, and we are going to do that. They should be able to engage at that level. If they can't resolve their crisis, then how do you expect the ordinary members of the party to resolve it?
But how does your party fix this, given the lapsed INEC deadlines? I mean, the deadline for the submission of names for both House of Reps and the Senate has already lapsed.
It has not lapsed. You know, there's a way they do it.
The window now is a substitution.
If you can engage, you know, there's a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Dale Carnegie.
Maybe they should make it a mandatory reading for
everybody.
For everybody in every politics. So when when they close ranks now, they can reach some compromise. You know, there's enough for our needs, not enough for our greed.
So should the compromise include what we hear that the leadership of the party is planning to do, to actually refund, you know, some of the funds? Yes.
It won't be out of place. I have a friend in Ondo State. He contested and won a senatorial seat, you know, to become the candidate of the APC. But at the end of the day, they came back and said all of them disqualified. There's a deal with Abuja, NWC, to put everybody who have been on the side of the party, bring them back into office as a compensation, you know. How do we bring that in with direct primaries? You are the one advocating that you are returning people to the
power to the people.
The power to the people through direct. And at the end of the day, you are still imposing candidates because you have had a deal and the other.
Is the National Working Committee becoming a problem rather than a solution? Because, I mean, in the case of Lagos, all the places that you could even cite, Ogun State and all of that, the state electoral committee chairman decides or I mean, the committee decides, okay, this is the result of the process that we've had, only for the National Working Committee to step in and say, no, it is not that, this is what it's going to be.
That's why I said we blame both the states and the federal. In Ogun State, for instance, there were 2 primaries. The first one was conducted by the states. You know, at the last minute, the members of the National Working Committee are supposed to supervise. They went missing. They called their phones unreachable. In the evenings, they came out and said, no, that one you did was for you. We are not part of it. Tomorrow or whenever we do another one. At the end of the day, the ones they did, 5 out of 7 aspirants, they didn't know about it. How can you claim it reveals or it reflects the will of the people when 5 of the 7 aspirants who are contesting for a position were never part of it?
What then is the capacity of the national chairman, who arguably is in charge of the NWC? Because the president told him to clear the mess. Yeah. And on the front pages of the paper today, you see that the APC does not appear to be changing its decision. One would have thought that the president would play a more fatherly role for the party, bring all the different parties together and amend.
That's why I said they have to learn to communicate. What clearing the mess means to me is engage with these people.
That's right.
Today, I don't know the chairman of the Republican Party in US. I don't have to know. Unless maybe even during the Larry Clinton election, when they had email server problems, that you start hearing Podesta. Yeah. They are usually behind the scene. You understand? So for you to be coming out every now and then means there's fire on the mountain. But now that we are here, what do we do going forward?
That's it. That's the point.
You have to engage.
Engage in what way? What form should this engagement
I see a problem brewing now that we don't know about. The real list with INEC has not been revealed. When the list becomes public, I see a lot of lawsuits on account of these primaries.
And defections are already happening. You have a Shehu Sani, for example, who has
I won't be surprised.
APC
I won't be surprised if we have the Rotimi Amechi scenario, where the person who does
many elections might eventually be won in court.
Have to cede it to the person who the courts adjudged as being the winner of the primaries.
Do you think the party will learn from this experience?
We all learn over time. But the price we pay for our learning may be the issue. Going forward now, if we don't really look at how we are going to fashion out a way forward, 2019 is just around the corner. It's a drip.
There's still the case of Zamfara and
Adamawa
the Supreme Court decision in Rivers State and all of that.
There's still going to be a court decision on Zamfara. The powers of INEC to divide the line for submission of names and things like that. So there's still an opening for APC if the courts decide in their favor. With Rivers State, maybe the courts have ruled. They have to stand by it. I don't know. It's something that for me, it's not beyond redemption. But the window may not be more than 1 month. If it closes, then they can even kiss 2019.
Is there a possibility of removing your national chairman, as it's been widely rumored?
There's always a possibility for such offices, but I don't see
the implication of that on the chances of the party.
Sometimes, if you read laws of power, you make such moves to force a resolution. So some of the people asking for him are not really asking for him to leave, because they know that between now and 2019 it's not really a possibility. But they want to force him to the table because himself doesn't like the bad publicity he's getting. So he will ultimately call them. Why are you people asking for my head?
And according to him,
Ahmed Lawan in the Senate has been calling on his colleagues not to defect. And I wonder whether they will listen to him, because, I mean, just like I pointed out earlier, Shehu Sani has left. One other person actually said that the party deceived me. I was deceived and defrauded by APC.
The thing is, ultimately, everybody has to realize that being in the Senate, being in the House of Reps, or being in governor's office is not everything there is about service. They just have to come to that realization. And those who are able to win the offices, get into power, should also realize that there are ways you compensate people for their service.
That's right.
And make some people who want to serve their people to come on board. without necessarily having elective offices.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Mayokun Ilo is a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning.
You're welcome.
Glad to have you.
All right, before we go, we'd like to tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons on the topics discussed this morning on the program are their views and have no connection with TVC News. So many thanks for joining us this morning. We always rely on you to keep a date with us every morning. We'll see you again tomorrow, Friday. I am Ngozi Alibu.
There's always something to talk about.
Absolutely.
So keep it a date again tomorrow. I am Mayokun Ilo. Bye for now.